I'm soaked. That's hot. Well, I got a bit done. 11:30, so about an hour worth of work today. That's all I'm going to do. I just realized something, guys. Oh, I got him good. Caught me a mouse. Warning graphic. If you're going to look away out because I caught number 15. I didn't notice that this morning. I didn't check the other. Got one more truck to check. Perfect capture. So that's 1 mole and 15 mice so far in a month. Let's see. Nope. No doom in that one. So I'll have to. I'm sure Casper comes along, that big cat there. I'm sure he's eating these because they're gone every. I put them out on the yard and they're gone almost every morning. So that I catch them. So yeah, free meal. Now I just gotta get rid of this guy. Poor little guy. Got him good though. I'm gonna take a little set down. My barrel's burning down pretty good. We'll go have a look at what I did first before I do the relaxation. So I got that stuck in the tree, but I got it back out. So you guys can laugh at me a little bit. That's the first time I got one of those ever stuck in the tree. This I nicked a few things. Oh yeah, I can give it. Oh, okay, yeah. This thing's pretty tough though. I'm just checking see the bird. Like I mean, I really whacked that brick right there. Yeah, so I'm gonna take that burr off. Just start right away. That's awesome. Okay, so that's burning down. Okay, let's do the walk of what I did. Okay, so started my day. I did basically the same thing I did yesterday, just less of it. Yesterday I did like 2 hours or 3 hours work. So that's burning down. We'll let that burn down. That's all I'm going to do for today there. Just because I think it's going to get really windy. So I went in there a bit more. It's hard to tell because like the stuff's just laying on top, right? Well, let's go. Let's do the tour where I started. Let's do the tour where I started. You see going down there. When I cut all that down, my aunt is going to freak. Like these here, I'm going to aim for next weekend. And then like that's going to open up from there to there. And then when I clear all that, oh man, that's going to be quite the view. Be like when I was a kid. Then I got to cut into that thing. See how it's all entangled into the... So I just got to keep lobbing branches off of it until it's either dead or like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. I got to take these down so I can get in there a little more. But you can see I did all this here. Like, but look at the point. Like, I mean, like, yeah, like you were barely able to see the garbage bins before. So I lobbed a bunch of branches off of this, which is going to help when I'm looking out the road here. Next year, I'm not sure the fate of this poor, beautiful oak tree. I really don't want to get rid of it, but it's in a bad spot where the roots are going to start to take in. I might just leave it and just deal with the consequence of when the septic gets, if it gets the roots grow into it. I'll just put it in another septic, but that's like, it's a couple of grand, right? So, but it might be a couple of years before that happens, so I have time to save up for it. Because I'd really love to keep this tree if I can. And I'm just going to trim up maybe about 2 levels of branches max. 1 level for sure. Just, everything at eye level. If it's beyond, if I can see out past, no problem. So like, see these back trees here, they're not in, that I'm just going to fall. But I just cut the branches off them for now. But that I'm just going to fall completely. But the stuff that's in there, I'm just going to nip branches away as much as I can. And hopefully Hydro comes along one day and just like clips it off for me below so I can fall it. And the ones on the back here, if I can get those, that's great. Anything that's intertwined with the power line, I'm not going to touch. But you can see what the Department of Highways, how much they got done on that side. And I'm not quite the same, well, probably, but it's longer on this side. Is that my dad? No. See a gray Ford. But when I clear all these branches, man, the view is going to be really good. But clear in between the trees, like, even if I just cleared in between the trees, it's like really, I can leave a lot. It's just, get off my foot. There you go. Oh, and I nailed a big ass brick or something in there. Yeah, that's whippersnipper territory there. So if you hit something that doesn't matter as much. Oh, I still got to pick up my nut. I pick up my nuts. See, that's his. Anything on this side is his. The little squirrel there. I saw him this morning. He was at my step. He's looking at me. He's probably in my basement right now, knowing him. So I cleared all this. Get in a bit more. And this is the thickest spot right here, this scotch grass and goldenrod and stuff like that. Like if you're going to get tangled up, this is where you're going to get tangled up. But see those little silver maples, you knock those down and then thin out this freaking lilac bush that's just like astronomically out of control, the two of them. I don't know if I'm going to keep the two of them. I might keep the big one because I don't think they're different. I don't know. I'll have to ask my brother if they were too different. If they're the same, I'm going to just get rid of this one, even though that one would be better to get rid of because it's right in front of the window. And I'd like to be able to see, but it's such a nice tree that lilac bush there. When it's in full bloom, it's something else to see. I'm going to trim these up next year. That's all next year though, for that. But for this year, if I can get this whole right down to the creek cleared out, I'd be ecstatic with that. Ecstatic. Because like there's a lot of trees there I'm going to be able to thin out, and you know, I can live. And then all this little stuff here, this is all gonna cut it now while it's easy, right? So like, see, the brush cutter would probably the round blade's fine for that stuff, but this bigger stuff must have been a big tree there or something. That's another Manitoba maple. But like when I get that one cut out, with my aunt, her swing is just like right up there on the top of the knoll there. She'll be able to see right to the bridge. Oh, she'll appreciate that so much. And then down there, there's that huge Manitoba maple. I'm going to start lobbing branches off of him because it's going out over the creek. And when that falls in the creek, it could block the creek, right? So I'd like to be able to find a way to get that one out without falling in the creek. We'll see. I might have to do some climbing and falling and dragging branches and, you know, whatever. Because there's two huge ones out over, like they were small when I was a kid. Well, they were big when I was a kid. You know, these trees are older than me. But this big one, this big giant Manitoba maple. I mean, wow, look at the size of the base of it, like right there. It's like 2.5 feet thick. That's one branch. And then the base of it is just monster something. They grow completely sideways like that. That's crazy. They're so heavy, right? But I'll trim like this one I'm going to take. Anything that's like, this is the line down, right? So everything from here is gone. Consider it on notice. Get rid of this guy. And then all the stuff in there. Like, it's making a difference. So I went in here too. I hit a rock or something in here, and then the tarp. All kinds of stuff. I'll clean all this up there tomorrow, because tomorrow the what do you call it? Recycling's done. So I got back in there in the goldenrod. I got to take that right down to the creek, I think. Because the girls used to swim, the little girls there, my cousins, they used to swim. There's a little shallow spot right there. I'll clear it out for them so that they can swim, and my nephew can swim there, because they don't have a place to swim anymore. All the local lake beaches are all like, people bought up and closed them off and stuff like that. They shouldn't be allowed to do that, but they did. So I got to take all these trees down, but got most of that. I cannot believe the difference in height, guys. I kid you not. Okay, like the barn, that's the level of the barn there. You can't really see it, but you can see how much it's dropped. Like the barn, there's nothing holding up that end of the barn. I'm gonna have to throw some blocks under there or something. A testament how well my grandfather built a barn, though. Holy gee. I mean, this thing's older than me. It's probably 80 years, 100 years old almost. Well, he wouldn't be 100 years. Well, you never know. 80 years minimum. Probably 80 years minimum. That's if my grandfather built it. If my great-grandfather built it, that's even crazier. Yeah, they knew how to build stuff. They knew how to build stuff. And but anyway, yeah, like this used to be just like maybe about a foot drop into the garden there. This was the garden. Like I explained, my dad plowed it up and disked it, but he didn't level it. So my brother wasn't able to get in here with the riding mower because it was too rough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it down. Then I'm going to come in with the tractor next year and just, I'm not going to plow it or disc it unless I have to. I might have to just to loosen it up. So I'll go in with the plow. I'll just plow it around, and then I'm going to not disc it, but drag it. I got the metal drag. I forgot they call it the hare. It's called a hare. It's basically, it's like a metal grate with a whole bunch of spikes on it, and you drag it behind your tractor, and it levels out the ground right after you plow it and disc it. And the ones we have, they're probably sitting in here. That's probably one of the things I hit in there, you know. And I'll level it out so that it can at least get in there with the riding mower. Once you can get in there with the riding mower, like once I'm able to do all this with the lawnmower, yeah, you know, like I'll be able to maintain it. Like I don't know if you guys could start to see the vision I'm seeing. Like, I mean, think about the journey we've been on so far in just 1 month of how much I've got done. But see, I'm going to take the tree line back a bit, but these the way the Manitoba maples are, they actually look kind of cool. But I'm taking the ones off the end there. Anything around the barns, all these trees around the barns. So I might keep a bit of a tree line, but I want gaps in between them. Think like a park, you know what I mean? And then there'll be like little trails down to the creek. And then my cousin's property, I'm not sure where his starts. I guess you technically see at the back of the barns. And then like the deal was, okay, the deal is on, so the house you just saw there, that's the original house, okay? So my great grandfather sold this property or willed the property to my grandfather, okay? So when my grandfather had it, his rule, which is the law, and it still stands to this day, is that every sibling gets an acre for free. You know, like you might have to pay the whatever the transfer fees or whatever it were, but everybody gets an acre. Because like there's 250 acres. So my grandfather was thinking way ahead for his family, not just the family that he was taking care of, but the family that's wasn't even born yet. Like myself, my brother, my cousin. So far, the one that's claimed an acre my brother was in the works of it, and he sort of has claimed an acre up in between my aunt and my uncle in front of my dad's place, but he never built there. He ended up down here. Now, maybe in the future, he might take that acre in between because he's always wanted to build there. I've always wanted just around the corner, if you guys remember, where that big feller buncher was for about 2 years. Just right where my dad's sawmill is, if you know where I'm talking about. Not when it was way back, but there. So only the long time channel subscribers might remember it. But as soon as you come around that hill, right, what we call Killer Hill, we as soon as you come around that field right there, I want to open that up like there wasn't a tree in that thing when I was a kid, and I want that all opened up again. It's just I don't quite have the machinery to do it. But as soon as I do, like even if I have to go halves with my dad or buy it myself, if my dad borrowed for his Massey tractor, the one I call Clunky, he got the brush hog for it, and it's an attachment on the back, and you just basically drive around and run over everything, and it just knocks everything down, right? And you can back over stuff too. It's basically picture like a lawnmower deck on steroids. Like the blades are like that thick or whatever. You don't want to be standing behind that thing when it's going there. It'll send a block of wood into your head and kill you. And he cleared all of it. He cleared every field and everything like that. But the problem is when you clear all the fields, new stuff grows up. Nature doesn't like a vacuum, right? So, and the tree overgrowth is now, especially with the poplar trees, like how do we clear all that, right? Even if I had to rent like the machinery to do it, just to knock down and it's just, it's all takes money, right? So if I can't take money, I have to do it by chainsaw, which is, you're talking about a lifetime maybe once a week going back there and just, clearing everything, right? Plus, we have another problem too. Is like we have all those people building in the back there on that freaking housing development that's back there. So uh, I totally hate that. But it's individual plots. It's not like a community housing or anything like that. But it's just the idea that we're going to have to fence everything off. And you can't really hunt back there anymore now because you're no longer in regulation of where you can shoot, right? So I have no place to shoot right now. I could hunt with the bow back there, but I couldn't hunt with the rifle back there. There's going to be houses pretty much in any direction I shoot. Where years ago, just a few years ago, I could shoot that way and you wouldn't hit anything for another 40, 50 kilometers. Like it's like a big Bermuda's Triangle in there once you get past the a certain amount of property there. Like it's like there's like if you were to be able to hold course through the bush, it's so thick you probably would be able to. But if you could hold course, there's you might find dinosaurs in there. Like there's like it's literally an area where probably people have never stepped, like in history, like that. That's how big it is. Like because think of here's the town. You go through Kaywood, you come out at Otter Lake. You go from Otter Lake, you come down back here, and then you eventually end up back here, right? It's like a giant triangle when you look at it on a map, and it's like this whole zone in here. Like it's like I'm sure there's people that have stuff in there, but like it's like to get in there, it's just like the roads run out. There's not even logging really that many logging roads in there on the other side, like on the other side here. Logging roads will go up 3,000 kilometers of logging road. You get lost in there, they'd never find you. But here, they're like I'm sure it was logged maybe 100, 200 years ago, but nothing since then. Like it's amazing. It's amazing and stuff like that. But the problem is that's I've got a buffer zone in between that now, so I can't hunt there. You know what I mean? And it's crown land that people. It's not necessarily for sale either. So, and it's landlocked. So it's like how do you get to it, right? So, but yeah, is what it is. Is what it is. I'll just focus on this land here. you know. Um, yeah, if I can get most of the stuff knocked down this fall, even if I don't get it all cleaned up, I don't care. As long as I get it knocked down, I can clean it up in the spring, throughout the summer, whatever, throughout the fall, and just you do a little bit. Like again, if you just did an hour a week of work for yourself, and I'm not talking about like your day to day stuff, like your laundry and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about okay, after you've taken care of like your normal routine stuff, project stuff. You're working on a car. You're working on clearing property. Whatever it is, like just an hour a week would make a huge difference at the end of the year. If you did 2 hours to 4 hours a week, it's amazing what happens just in a month. You know what I mean? Like if you think about like I haven't even gotten to really gotten to the projects yet. You know what I mean? Like the clearing, that's the projects. I've been mainly focusing on doing dishes, which I've got some jugs there I got to clean up and stuff like that. They're not really the dishes; they're just those maple syrup or shine jugs, whatever you want to refer to them as. I want to clean those up because I got lots of them. I got some up home that I got to bring down here, and I do plan on using them for canning and stuff like that, and dry storage, like particular things like rice and stuff like that. It's great to these big gigantic jars. Nothing, put an oxygen absorber in there, nothing gets in them. Plus next year, depending on again, I might be a little bit over ambitious, but there's a girl in my town that deals with bees. I'm gonna go talk to her. Say, is there any way I can get some bees from you? You know what I mean? Because I would like to have a bee setup, but not until after I plant things that are going to bring the bees in. And the thing is there's a lot of natural wild stuff that's just around here that the bees will naturally come to. And The cool part about that is like those fall asters or whatever, the little purple pinkish flower. They grow in little bushels. Uh, they're wild too, so like they're easy. You don't have to take care of them. You just okay, transplant this one over here, and just trim all the grass around it. Let them let them overgrow, and you'll have a gazillion bees in there, bumblebees. So everybody's like, "Oh, the bumblebees are dying. The bumblebee." Well, if you keep cutting away their habitat, yeah, they're going to die. You know what I mean? But I think it's one of those things, yeah. But they come back pretty quick too when you like. I'm not going to say my property is going to be the Garden of Eden or the Botanical Gardens, but I'm saying my influence is the Botanical Gardens looking like the Garden of Eden. Like I want royals to be like, hey, I want to get married here. You know what I mean? Uh, I'm understanding what an old client of mine way more now than I ever did. He has this old cottage, and this guy is well off. I still work for his daughter and his son-in-law. He's in a home now. He's a nice guy. I worked for him for quite a few years when I first moved up here, and my uncle worked for him. God rest him, and my brother did a little bit, whatever. And he has this old rickety cottage. It's still standing. I don't know how. Like, if you think this house, you should see that place. Uh, and he has this like beautiful second log cabin on, like this perfectly aesthetic log cabin overlooking the lake and whatever. And he stays in the old cottage, this old rickety cottage, right? And just like it's like rougher looking than in here. Like it's nice in there, but it's like it's old. It's rustic, right? And the guy more than enough money to have had it knocked down and built something good. But nope, he just like that, and everything around it looked like a park. Like the way my coworker at the time and I, like we'd cut all the grass around all the trees. There was flowers everywhere. Park benches. There was 300 park benches that he had between the two properties, which would be about probably 15 acres of property. We didn't always put them all out, but we put out a lot, like at least 100 every. There was just a bench here, a bench there, a little stone path here, a little stone path there, and it was just all over the place, and it was just beautiful. And I'm just like, I've always, like now the daughter, she wants to wild more of it, so like it's no longer looking like the park, but her husband is basically this guy loves making trails through the bush everywhere. So their aesthetic is more like let everything grow up instead of having everything trimmed and neat, but we'll just have all these really cool trails, little stone paths everywhere. So it's kind of like okay, it's different, it's a different style, but it looks good. It all looks good, At the end of the day, for me, I don't want to let things grow over and do the stone path thing. I want to just clear it, and just leave, like the trees are going to pop just from the fact that there's no scotch grass around the tree, right? It's not just going to be a mangled of whatever. So you keep it clean and trim, and then, flowers here, flowers there. Like, for example, my apple tree, I'm going to have a flower garden around the bottom of that to attract the bees. Why? Because it's going to be better for the apples. The apples up here. Eventually, I'm going to have a grapevine on that fence line. I'm going to tear out the old fence. I might have to put in fence tomorrow. That's going to suck. And I'm going to tear out that old fence and put in like trellises for grapevines. That might not happen this year. Like the vines are not the expensive part. It's the trellises that are going to be the hard part. What am I going to make them out of? Cedar logs? What am I going to make them out of? I can make them out of anything, but I want to make them out of stuff that's, once you set it up. Like, nice thing about cedar is if you set it up right, okay, good. It's good for life. You don't have to do anything to it, right? So I want like maybe thin cedar, like a thin cedar fence, trellis type of thing, and just grapevines all over it, and that's it. And that'll be the fence, right? And it's a perfect spot because it's just morning to night sun. Like the amount of sun that hits that is unbelievable. So the bottom line is that the projects, plus I'm going to have hopefully a little bit of livestock. But you can see as I come around the barns there, now I can actually walk around the barns. Not perfectly, but I can get through there because the brush is, um, yeah. Actually, I want to go check out that back stable with you. That little shed. I haven't been in there in years. Well, I just haven't been able to get into it. So the goal is to clean up there as much as possible so that in the spring and it's go time and things are starting to come back up, that the stuff that's come up is going to be, basically whipperline will take it out. The stuff that's going to be hard to get rid of is all these little stumps, but that's what the brush cutter's for, right? So you saw I did like the back of the house a bit. I'll probably have to do that like 5, 6 times to get it all, you know what I mean? But you just work at it. So next year it's like get everything knocked down now, clean up next year. Clean up as much as I can this year because, to rake all that would take me. It's going to take me a while. So I have to do things in sections, right? Rake it into piles, get rid of the pile. The piles are going to take forever. Cutting it down is the quick part. Raking it up is a little bit slower. Getting rid of the piles is the slowest, right? So you get rid of a pile you can get rid of a pile every week or whatever. Who cares, right? As long as it's out of the way enough that you could deal with everything else. And so I think the priority is for the outside stuff, because the chainsawing, I can do that in the middle of January if I want to. You know what I mean? There's not once the grass is covered with snow or whatever, doesn't matter. I could just the trees are up high enough that I can knock them down. The downside is that you're left with stumps like this, or whatever the thick as the snow, and then you got to come along in the spring and cut them all away, cut them as low as you can. The reason being is that those stumps and those little shrubs that stick up, that's what tears away your whipper line, and you go through like a ton of whipper line like that. But it's the whipper line, like the whipper. When I do the actual whipper snippering of all the areas that I'm brush cutting right now, it cleans it like spotless, like right down to the ground, right? And when you do that, it really looks good. And it cleans up a lot of the stuff too, because it mulches it as it cuts it up. So like the briars, you can't really like that. They're just you go through a spool of whipper line, no matter how big of a spool you have, you'll just go through it too fast. Even on the big industrial, even on the ones with 4, yeah, like the double spools, those things are crazy. They're meant for stuff like that, but it's still you use a lot of whipper line. The blade, those blades are probably gonna last me. God knows how much money I'm gonna make with those blades. Do got to sharpen them. You're gonna have to stay on top of the sharpening. Both blades need sharpening already, so it's like chainsaw. You just sharpen it as you go. But people buy those blades, they'll use them and use them and use them, never sharpen them. So if you touch them up right away from the get go, which something I want to do today is, sharpen my chainsaws, have them ready for the week, sharpen the 2 blades just in case, because I have a hunch I'm going to be using the brush cutter again this week. So maybe not tomorrow, but it's hard to say. I'm not sure exactly. I think I'm going to need it though, because if I'm going to be putting in fence posts, yeah, there's going to be that. So back to the fencing thing again. But that's what kept me going into November last year, was the fencing thing. But yeah, if you understand how many fence posts I put in last year, it's like, oh, by hand. It's like, oh, it's such a hard pain in the ass thing to do. But I'll be doing it here too. So I'm not going to buy a fence post holder because I'm sure there's one on the property somewhere. It might be 100 years old, but I don't care. If it works, it works. But anyway, I'm gonna tour out to the barn there, and I'll show you. We'll go see if we can find some new treasures.